What is up, guys? Welcome into yet another edition of Benstant Reaction, instant reaction to a game. Big news, whatever it is going on in the Arizona sports landscape, we are reacting to it here on the Ben Garcia Show. However, we call it Benstant Reaction. Before I dive deep into all things Bradley Beal being benched by the Phoenix Suns, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, even potentially, maybe if you really want to, tell a friend about the Ben Garcia Show, as well as, guys, we are in the middle of a lot of change here at the Ben Garcia Show. I am now starting some streaming every morning. You will be able to see me streaming a show about 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. Around one of those time frames is what I'm getting to. So if you are up in the morning, I want to basically start a morning show with you each and every morning. I streamed this morning. It wasn't that early, but we did do it. So either way, don't forget as well to follow me on all social media platforms. But big news struck the NBA world last night, and even more so, it hit even closer to home with the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns decided something that I decided for them months ago at this point. It was all the way back in July where I said, hey guys, it's just time at this point to go ahead and move on from that being one Bradley Beal in the starting lineup. Because here's the issue. There's just far too much redundancy in the Phoenix Suns starting lineup. You know, it used to be mostly what this team was, you know, you had Chris Paul, you had DeAndre Ayton. Everyone had clear, defined roles. But then you brought Kevin Durant into the fold. And then you brought Bradley Beal into the fold. And as much as people want to say Bradley Beal's washed, it's just not true. Just angry fandom for an organization that has largely let a team down or let their fan base down over the past, I don't know, 2 years, you want to call it? Like, the reason why Bradley Beal gets so much blame for the Phoenix Suns' clear blunders, and maybe not so much Devin Booker, or maybe not so much Kevin Durant in this instance, but we got to call it what it is. The third best player in a big three always gets the most blame. Kevin Love did, Chris Bosh did, whoever the third biggest player is out of the big three, this being Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal in this instance, Beal is always going to shoulder most of the blame. Is it fair? No. And do I think Bradley Beal is to blame for all the Suns' issues? No. In fact, I don't even think he's half the problems of this Suns team. But I said back in July, I actually said this back in like March and April, but it wasn't documented until July, until I put it up on my social media platforms. Go ahead and follow me there. You could find them down in the links below, or you could just find it yourself at Ben Garcia Show everywhere. And this was before Tyus Jones was a part of the Phoenix Suns. At this point, it was Monte Morris, and I said Monte Morris should start for the Suns team. Bradley Beal needs to go to the bench. Because the biggest issue with this Suns team, and we're going to hear from Chris Haynes in just a minute, is that there's not clear defined roles. So with that being said, let's hear really quickly what the report was from Chris Haynes last night.
I received pretty significant news out of Phoenix. Sources relayed to me that Bradley Beal and Yusuf Nurkic will be removed from the start lineup starting Monday at Philadelphia, and in their place will be starting rookie Ryan Dunn and Mason Plumlee. Now, there's also tension in that locker room. I'm told certain players are unsure of their roles and frustrated with how they're being used, and the coaching staff, they're still trying to figure things out. So this situation, it will be something to monitor moving forward. But as of right now, Bradley Beal, Yusuf Nurkic moved to the bench, Mason Plumlee, and Ryan Dunn starters.
Are you really surprised? You know, that the end of that report should have just read, yeah, no crap, Chris Haynes. And that's basically what I was getting to. This team does not have clear defined roles. Now, I'm not sure that there's anything that can save this Suns team, this Suns organization from their fate, which is ultimately likely not a championship. But man, you got to go down swinging. And moving Bradley Beal to the bench gives everyone a clear defined role. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker do not have to worry about taking too many shots and worrying about how many shots Bradley Beal is getting on a night-in, night-out basis, or if they're sharing the ball enough. This gives everyone a clear, defined role. Bradley Beal, stop worrying about being the point guard. Stop worrying about having to be the team's best defender in the guard slot. Devin Booker, stop worrying so much about if you need to take a three-pointer, if you need to pass the ball, if you need to, whatever, right? This gives everyone a clear defined role. In the starting lineup, it's Kevin Durant A, Devin Booker B, everyone else get the hell out of the way. Tyus Jones, facilitate the offense. Ryan Dunn, implementing him and taking out Bradley Beal automatically makes you a better defensive team. And then you have Mason Plumlee, whose identity, who I don't think will be there forever, whose identity is just get rebounds, try to play good defense down low. And then what does Bradley Beal get to do in all this? He gets to go back to doing what makes him happy. All Bradley Beal has ever known is getting off the, getting into the game and just getting buckets. And that's what he's doing. That's what Bradley Beal is going to be asked to do. So it is a slam dunk move for the Phoenix Suns, pun intended, to move Bradley Beal to the bench, along with that being one use of Nurkic. But this gives everyone on the team clear, defined roles. This team had no idea. Of course, everyone's going to be frustrated because Kevin Durant thinks he's got to be the best defender, and Devin Booker is trying to figure out how to toggle between being the number one and number two on whatever night, and Bradley Beal always has to figure out where he's fitting in this equation, and it almost never worked. So when you insert Kevin Durant and Devin Booker in the starting lineup and you say, you guys go get buckets, Tyus Jones, facilitate. Ryan Dunn, go be the awesome lockdown defender you can be. Mason Plumlee, know your role. And Bradley Beal can go to the bench and be Washington Wizards, just cooking off the bench Bradley Beal. Not worrying about if he's passing the ball enough, not worrying about if he's taking enough threes, not worrying about getting Grayson Allen his deal. He can be the guy. And I understand that there was this idea because he's a $50 million man that you can't do that. Well, guess what? You can. There's no rule in the CBA that you can't go ahead and give a team, and you can't go ahead and play a player to end the game, or you can't put a player on the bench because he makes too much money. I know there was this crazy idea that just because Bradley Beal makes a ton of money, that you have to go ahead and put him in the starting lineup. No. And I know people are now really starting to come on my side. But I was right on this. I've been on this since last March. I've been on it since July. I've said, listen, I really got this idea when I saw the Phoenix Suns play the Sacramento Kings last year, and the Suns had that insane comeback and they won. They were down 1 billion points and came back and won that game. But in that game, I saw what Malik Monk was doing for that being the Sacramento Kings. And I said, wait a second, that's Bradley Beal's role. That's what Bradley Beal needs to do. They don't ask Malik Monk to go facilitate or go be the best defender. They say, hey man, get off the bench and get buckets. And that's what Bradley Beal is going to be asked to do. And I believe it's going to suit him better, and I believe it's going to be better for this team. And ultimately, I don't think this changes their fate of being a championship team or not, but it sure as hell makes them a lot more viable. And then there's this other thing. There's a decent amount of the Suns public, the Suns media public, that's like, this is framing for a Bradley Beal trade. Maybe. I don't see why you would want to piss off Bradley Beal even further if you didn't want him a part of your team, but maybe. I don't see that, though. I think the Suns are still hopefully holding their hopes out for a guy like Jimmy Butler to come and save this team, but I don't think that they're trying to piss off Bradley Beal so that he'll accept a trade elsewhere. I think that is already a foregone conclusion, that Beal, who has been a good soldier, wants out. And that's also a really, really good point I wanted to make about Bradley Beal. Like I mentioned earlier in this video, you get all of the blame, you get none of the praise as the number 3 guy. You're like the head coach of a Super Bowl team, right? You lose, they blame the coach. You win, they give credit to the quarterback. Bradley Beal has continued to sacrifice, and for some reason, he is not beloved here in Phoenix. He just doesn't fit. I don't think it's his fault that this team doesn't fit, but he just simply doesn't fit on this team. So they're giving him a new role. He has sacrificed a ton, and credit to Beal, man. This has been a player who has been clearly challenged about some of the issues coming off the bench, ask him to take more threes, ask him to be the third option. To Beal's credit, everything that Bradley Beal has been asked to do by the Phoenix Suns, he's done. So I think it's a phenomenal move for the Suns. And I don't know if it's toggling between back and forth, getting Jimmy and not getting Jimmy, or whatever that looks like. All I know is this. The team, both statistically and by the eye test, is just better with 2 stars on the floor than 1. And moving Bradley Beal to the bench is a incredibly smart move and something that I've been on since July, even further back than that. But this gives Kevin Durant and Devin Booker clear defined roles. You guys are our 2 stars. Go cook in the starting lineup. Stop worrying about if Bradley Beal is going to get his. Tyus Jones, facilitate. Yusuf Nurkic or at this point Mason Plumlee, just be the big man and go get rebounds. And then taking out Bradley Beal and inserting Ryan Dunn immediately makes them a better team defensively. And then you have Bradley Beal, who can just come off the bench and be Washington Wizards Bradley Beal and really cook for this team. Malik Monk style, Manu Ginobili style, Jamal Crawford style. And it doesn't matter that he makes $50 million a year, and I understand fanboys that get upset about that. He is still, just because he's not starting games doesn't mean that he's not going to finish games with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Believe it or not, there's nothing against the rules about that. So it's a great move. The Phoenix Suns are better off with Bradley Beal on the bench and moving forward with a new starting lineup. And it's not against anyone's skill, but this is the cards that they have been dealt. They have made their bed, and now they're lying in it. That's what this team is doing at this point. So I am really curious to see how this team is going to react tonight. You guys can get more coverage of that on Locked On Phoenix Suns with me and my guy Brandon Clean. But either way, Bradley Beal to the bench, Phoenix Suns' new starting lineup. Very excited to see how, at this point, all of that is going to work out for this team. But ultimately, work out. Hopefully, it does.